Ever finish a meal and feel like your brain just switched to low power mode? Your thoughts slow down, focus gets fuzzy, and even simple tasks feel heavier. That after-eating brain fog is common, and it's often less about willpower and more about how the meal interacts with your blood sugar, digestion, and nervous system. The good news is, you can usually spot patterns. It might be the size of the meal, the speed you ate, the balance of carbs to protein, or even what you drank with it. Sometimes it's a food sensitivity. Sometimes it's timing, like eating a big lunch after a short night of sleep. In this breakdown, you'll get a clear mental model for why brain fog happens after meals. Then you'll learn the specific meal mistakes that tend to trigger it. The goal is not perfection. It's noticing the few levers that make the biggest difference for your clarity and energy. Moving to slide 2. Start with the most common driver, a blood sugar spike followed by a dip. If you eat a meal that's heavy in fast-digesting carbs, glucose can rise quickly. Your body responds with insulin to move that glucose into cells. For some people, that response overshoots, and blood sugar drops faster than the brain likes. The brain is a high-demand organ, and it's sensitive to rapid changes in fuel availability. The result can feel like sleepiness, irritability, poor concentration, or a cotton head sensation. This doesn't require diabetes. You can have normal labs and still be more sensitive to big swings. The key idea is speed. Not just how much carbohydrate you eat, but how quickly it hits your bloodstream. That's influenced by fiber, protein, fat, and the structure of the food. A bowl of refined cereal behaves very differently than intact grains with nuts and yogurt. Moving to slide 3. Meal mistake number 1 is the naked carb meal. Carbs without enough protein, fiber, or fat to slow digestion. Think pastries, white bread, sweet coffee drinks, or a big bowl of rice with very little else. These foods aren't morally bad, they're just fast. And fast can mean a sharper rise, then a sharper fall. A simple fix is balance. Add protein, add fiber, and include some healthy fat so the meal digests more steadily. Another angle is portion size. Even a balanced meal can cause fog if the carb load is huge for you. If you're trying to troubleshoot, keep the meal composition similar, but adjust one variable at a time. For example, keep the same lunch, but cut the starch portion by a third, or add a protein serving, and see what happens over the next 2 hours. You're not guessing. You're running a calm, personal experiment. Moving to slide 4. Mistake number 2 is simply eating too much in one sitting. A very large meal increases the workload on digestion. Blood flow shifts toward the gut, and your body prioritizes processing and absorption. That shift can leave you feeling heavy, warm, and mentally slower. It's not that blood leaves the brain in a dramatic way. It's more that your system is reallocating attention and resources. Big meals also tend to be higher in total carbs and fat, which can amplify post-meal sleepiness. If you notice fog mainly after lunch or dinner, ask one practical question. Was that meal bigger than you needed to feel satisfied? Many people do better with a slightly smaller main meal and a planned protein-forward snack later. Another detail is meal timing. A huge meal late in the day can collide with natural circadian dips in alertness. The combination can feel like a mental crash. Moving to slide 5. Mistake number 3 is eating too fast. Speed changes everything. When you rush, you chew less, swallow more air, and give your gut less time to coordinate the digestive process. That can increase bloating and discomfort, which alone can make thinking harder. Fast eating also blunts your ability to notice fullness, so you tend to overshoot portions. And there's a nervous system angle. Digestion works best in a calmer, rest and digest state. If you're eating while stressed, standing, scrolling, or working, your body may stay in a more alert mode. That mismatch can feel like jittery tiredness, wired but foggy. A practical test is to slow the first 5 minutes of the meal. Put the fork down between bites. Aim for more chewing than you think you need. It sounds small, but for many people, it's one of the highest return changes for post-meal clarity. Moving to slide 6. Now let's talk about the fat plus refined carb combo. This is classic comfort food. Fries and a burger bun, creamy pasta,
buttery pastries, rich desserts. Fat slows stomach emptying, which can sound like a good thing for blood sugar. But paired with refined carbs, it can create a long, heavy digestion window. Some people feel fog, not immediately, but 60 to 120 minutes later, when the meal is still sitting and energy feels trapped in the gut. These meals can also be very calorie-dense, so it's easy to eat more than intended. The takeaway isn't to fear fat, it's to notice the pairing. Many people feel clearer when fats come with fiber-rich carbs, like vegetables, beans, or intact grains, rather than refined flour and sugar. If your fog is delayed and comes with heaviness, this pattern is worth testing. Swap the refined carb for a higher fiber option. Moving to slide 7. Another overlooked cause is dehydration, or more specifically, not matching fluids and electrolytes to your day. Mild dehydration can feel like brain fog all by itself. Then you eat, blood shifts toward digestion, and the fog becomes more noticeable. Some meals also pull water into the gut, especially very salty foods, or very high-fiber meals if you're not used to them. Caffeine can complicate this too. For some people, a strong coffee on an empty stomach, followed by a carb-heavy meal, creates a sharp up and down in energy and focus. The practical approach is simple. Check your baseline hydration earlier in the day, not just at lunch. With meals, aim for steady sipping rather than chugging a huge amount at once. And if you sweat a lot or you're in a hot environment, electrolytes may matter as much as water. The goal is stable circulation and stable energy, not a quick fix after the crash has already started. Moving to slide 8. Let's add the gut angle. If your brain fog comes with bloating, gas, reflux, or a heavy brick in the stomach feeling, digestion itself may be the trigger. One reason is fermentable carbohydrates, often called FODMAPs. In sensitive people, certain foods can ferment quickly and create gas and distension. That discomfort can distract you, disrupt breathing patterns, and raise stress signals. Another factor is very high-fiber meals when your gut isn't adapted. Fiber is generally helpful, but a sudden jump can cause temporary symptoms. There's also the possibility of histamine sensitivity in some individuals, where certain aged or fermented foods correlate with headaches or fog. The point is not to self-diagnose, it's to connect symptoms. If fog reliably tracks with digestive discomfort, focus your experiment on meal simplicity. Choose fewer ingredients, cook foods thoroughly, and keep portions moderate. If patterns are strong or symptoms are intense, it's reasonable to discuss them with a clinician. Moving to slide 9. Food sensitivities and allergies are another bucket. An allergy can include clear signs like hives, swelling, or breathing symptoms, and that's a different level of concern. But many people are dealing with subtler intolerances, where the main signs are fatigue, fog, or digestive issues. Common suspects include dairy for lactose intolerance, and wheat for some people, though the reasons vary. What matters is repeatability. If you feel foggy once, it could be sleep, stress, or meal size. If you feel foggy almost every time you eat a specific food, that's a strong signal. The best approach is structured, not random. Keep a simple food and symptom log for a week. Note the meal, the time, and your mental clarity at 30, 60, and 120 minutes. Then look for patterns. If you decide to remove a food to test, do it for a defined period. Then reintroduce it and observe. Moving to slide 10. Here's a sneaky one, the post-lunch circadian dip. Many people have a natural drop in alertness in the early afternoon. If you eat a big meal right before that window, it can feel like the meal caused everything, when it's really the meal plus biology. Sleep debt makes this much stronger. If you slept poorly, your glucose control tends to be worse, and your appetite signals can push you toward faster carbs. Stress does something similar. When you're under pressure, you may eat quickly, choose more refined foods, and stay in a tense state while digesting. So if your fog is worst on busy days, that's not in your head. It's a predictable interaction. The useful move is to separate variables. Compare a similar lunch on a well-rested day versus a short sleep day. Or compare eating in a calm setting versus eating at your desk while working. Often, the meal mistake is actually the context around the meal.
Moving to slide 11. Let's talk about ultra-processed meals. These are foods engineered to be easy to eat quickly and hard to stop eating. They often combine refined starch, added sugars, industrial fats, and lots of salt. That combination can push appetite, increase portion size, and create bigger swings in energy. Another issue is low micronutrient density. Your brain needs steady supplies of things like magnesium, iron, B vitamins, and omega-3 fats to support normal energy metabolism. A single processed meal won't drain you, but a pattern of low-quality meals can make you more vulnerable to feeling foggy after eating. Also, processed meals can be low in protein and fiber, which removes the natural brakes on digestion speed. If you want a simple upgrade, think in components: a protein anchor, a fiber-rich plant, a slower carb if you want one, and a bit of fat for satisfaction. You don't need a perfect diet, you need meals that behave predictably. Moving to slide 12. So what should you actually do with all this? Use a simple troubleshooting framework: trigger, timing, and texture. First, trigger means the likely driver: blood sugar swing, oversized meal, rushed eating, dehydration, or a specific food. Second, timing means when the fog hits. Immediate fog often points to meal size, speed, or stress. Fog at 60 to 120 minutes often points to blood sugar dynamics or heavy fat plus carb meals. Third, texture means how processed the food is. Intact foods with fiber usually digest more steadily than refined foods. Then run a 2-meal test. Pick one meal you can repeat, like lunch, for 3 days, keep it consistent, and track clarity. Then adjust one lever for 3 days, add protein, reduce refined carbs, slow eating, or shrink the portion. Don't change 5 things at once. The goal is to find your highest impact lever. Once you have that, you can keep your favorite foods and still protect your focus. Moving to slide 13. Let's finish with a practical, clearer plate template that many people tolerate well. Start with a protein anchor, because protein tends to increase satiety and smooth the glucose curve. Add a large non-starchy vegetable portion for fiber and volume. Then choose your carb intentionally. If you're prone to fog, start with a smaller portion of a slower carb, like beans, lentils, or intact grains, and see how you respond. Add a modest amount of fat for taste and satisfaction, not as the main event. If you want dessert, consider separating it from the main meal and keeping the portion small, because stacking sugar on top of a heavy meal can worsen the crash. After you eat, a gentle 10-minute walk is a classic strategy that studies associate with better post-meal glucose handling. Keep it easy. The goal is circulation, not a workout. If you build meals this way most of the time, brain fog becomes easier to predict and reduce. Moving to slide 14. One last piece is knowing when brain fog after eating deserves extra attention. If fog comes with severe abdominal pain, fainting, chest symptoms, or signs of an allergic reaction, that's not a meal tweak situation. If you're consistently getting extreme sleepiness after meals, or you have symptoms like excessive thirst, frequent urination, or unexplained weight changes, it's reasonable to get checked for metabolic issues. Also, if you suspect a specific food triggers strong symptoms, a clinician or registered dietitian can help you test it safely and avoid unnecessary restriction. For most people, though, the biggest wins come from the boring basics: fewer refined carbs by themselves, smaller portions, slower eating, and more consistent hydration. If you want one action step, pick the meal that most often causes fog and run the one change experiment for a week. And if you found this breakdown useful, subscribe for more clear, practical nutrition explanations. Comment with your pattern. Does your brain fog hit faster after a carb-heavy meal or later after a heavier fatty meal? A or B? This information is not a substitute for medical advice. The future of health is proactive, not reactive.